A sad fact about South Africa is that racism and the anger surrounding it are the primary driving factors of our national politics. The ANC, as it stands as a party today, that being the African National Congress, which has ruled this country for over 3 decades since the fall of apartheid, would not have anything to talk about if they did not rely on cheap race baiting to energize their voter base. But the fact is, the issue affecting South Africa most, and the reason why South Africa continues on its downward spiral, is not an issue of race. It is an issue of culture. It is absolutely true that when colonial Europeans came to this continent, and specifically what would become what we know as South Africa today, they did indeed use superior technological abilities and military tactics to oppress the native black tribes. I'm not even going to try to deny that. However, my European ancestors also brought the skills, the knowledge, and the understanding, which is what created South Africa as the modern country it is today. The reason why South Africa continues to collapse is not because there is some act of God stopping us from being a functional country. The problem, fundamentally speaking, is cultural, because when the ANC took power in 1994, they seem to have assumed that they could just live like kings and not actually do the job of governing. They seem to believe that the infrastructure which was put in place by the apartheid government and colonial powers before apartheid would simply continue to exist and support whatever population happened to make use of it. And that is the main issue here. The reason why South Africa is in such a terrible condition is that the ANC completely and willfully failed to maintain or upgrade the national infrastructure in order to cope with the population growth that has happened since the fall of apartheid. In the late 90s, following apartheid's demise, there was a population boom, but the ANC did not do anything to add to the electrical grid, the water grid, or any other of our essential municipal services like hospitals, roads, or basically anything really. And so now we have a situation in which millions of people are relying on infrastructure which was never intended to support this weight of numbers. Add to this the fact that the ANC in recent years has essentially declared itself to be a party of open borders and is constantly demanding that native South Africans treat all other Africans as utopian brothers and sisters. Now, any normal South African can tell you this is not going to work, because the fact that black people across Africa share a similar skin tone doesn't mean that they share the same cultural values or that they have the same heritage. They don't. And it is ironically racist of the ANC themselves to pretend that just because Africans are mostly black, that makes them all the same. So, on top of the large South African population, which should be here, we have Africans from the rest of the continent flooding in because, as messed up as South Africa is, it is still the most stable country to be in if you have to be in Africa at all. And so that is creating growing social conflicts. And if it is not stopped, something very, very bad is going to happen and it will happen soon. All of this is because the ANC is willfully and frankly arrogantly incompetent, and they don't feel any shame about their complete lack of capacity to govern. Because as long as they themselves are taken care of and looked after by the resources of the state, they genuinely don't give a damn what happens to the rest of the people in this country. So again, the problem of South Africa is not one of race, it is one of culture. And until the majority of South Africans develop the intelligence to accept that, nothing is ever going to improve and everything will continue to fall apart.